Does Your God Sleep? A project exploring Nigerians' perspectives on fear, God, and the roles that fear and God play in society. And in this one, very special to me, participants discuss what their God fears. If at all, it's he, she, they fear anything. And it also touches on if their God had an emotional landscape, what that emotional landscape is modeled after.
So I do think God is afraid of reptiles.
God. No. No. I feel like God is a programmer. He's behind the whole creation. It's just like you saying, fear your game. I feel like God is. We are all like on a big screen. So it's like you won't just play the game and just okay. Let me create normal character. This generation.
What do you think is this programmer's reaction when he sees you experience a snake or like more people following in your body?
He laughs. He laughs. I feel like it's just like Big Brother. You know, they are watching us. They're having fun. They're having fun with things we're doing. So sometimes I ask myself, is it just one person or they are just like the whole community to just doing that thing and watching us? Just we watch other characters on games and whatnot.
Does it feel on purpose?
Because you can't film your way out of it. You can't say Mr. Amberman, please. I love you. I love you. Set GP hacks, while I preach, all of us in the house. All me, well, no.
Jeremy, does God hear public speech?
Well, no, he doesn't fear. I was fantasizing about being able to do public speaking, but without, as in you're just injecting the message to people's brains, so you don't have to all have the. It's only the eyes that are the scary part. But no, God doesn't fear public speaking. Although I don't know if he does public speaking per se. Because like even talking to Moses, he like picks like people to do the public speaking for him. So maybe he is scared of public speaking.
That makes sense.
Do you think it's a reaction of God, your God to you, when he sees you in fear of public speaking?
Yeah, because it's not really, it's more, because the snake thing is quite funny because it's a physical reaction, but mine is like pacing around the room smoking endless cigarettes. It's not very funny. His reaction is probably probably will force me to overcome it. Not like in that moment, but like whether if it's down the line or just like push me into avenues where I have to do it.
Do you think God is afraid of your parents or siblings then?
God is not afraid. He has said it. He said he's appointed to every man wants to die, and after that, judgment. So he knows that they will die. Right. So he's not scared of them dying. Of course, he wants them to come and meet him. Like if they live a righteous life. So I don't think God is scared of them dying.
Do you think your God fears anything?
God doesn't. How does God fear? God, he created everything, right? So I was reading the book of Psalms 49 this morning before I came. So he said, like, I don't need your offerings. I don't need your calves. I don't need your bullocks. If I want to eat, I can get anything. The cattle on 1,000 hills belongs to me. The fowls on the mountains are mine. So, what?
How does your God feel, or how do you think God would feel or respond to you if you're faced with the death of your parents?
God is a very loving father. Of course, I can see God have emotions.
Okay, but not emotional fear.
No emotional fear. Like, the Bible says we are created in the image of God. And human beings have emotions. Which image? God. So definitely God has emotions. If we are drawing our premise from that context, right?
If God has emotions, just like human beings. Part of the emotional profile of a human being is fear.
Yeah,
But then you said earlier that God doesn't fear
he
anything.
doesn't feel that.
So what are the category of emotions that you think God does not have access to?
It's not that he doesn't have access to them,
Mhm.
but he doesn't need them.
So he doesn't use them.
He doesn't use them.
To go back then to your answer you was about being a loving father.
Yeah.
So how does he feel about your pain and suffering?
Yeah, definitely. He will send the comfort. Like, because at that time, he knows that the grief won't be able to bear it. And then God has a way of doing it. He might go through somebody. At that time, I will now meet someone that he might be putting words like the person will be giving me the right words, right? So this is what you need at this time. This is what, and the person will come. After the period of grief, I might no longer be in touch with that person. And then that's where some people might be like, this person was with me when I was going, but where is this person? He's the bad. No, he's not the bad person. The person was just stationed in your life at that particular point in time for that reason. And that's how God works. God won't come down and say, I'm God, this is this. No, he won't. He'll send somebody. Yeah. But to be very fair, right? I feel God has, I won't say anger issues, but he doesn't have anger issues, but he has access to anger. I mean, we can see from the Bible, destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, flooding, Noah's time. Do you get? When Cain killed Abel, he cursed him. So yeah, God is, even the Bible says God is terrific, like he's horrible, like he's fearful, right? You can see when is it Elisha, when he was walking and then the children were mocking him, oh, bye. And then Elijah said a word. Of course, when you say something, God has to back it up. And the wolf came from the forest, so he wiped this and devoured the children. So God has access. Then, but now we can, if we go back to the New Testament, right, we can now see the other parts that God doesn't really, it's not that he cannot exert it, but when they knew Jesus Christ, they were beating Jesus, right? Jesus Christ knows that his Father has powers. That was when he now made that statement. My God, why has thou forsaken me? Because I know who you are, I know what you can do. Why are you allowing this? Because at that time, Jesus Christ was not human. His strength has failed. But then again, we learned that God's eyes are too pure to behold iniquity. So God couldn't look at him at that time because the sin of the world was on Jesus Christ. Right? So the loving part of him came in the New Testament. So in the Old Testament, God was a consuming fire. In the New Testament, God was all good. So in the Old Testament, God was a lion, a devourer. But in the New Testament, he came as a sheep.
So besides fear, is there any other emotion that God does not use?
I don't have that now. I can't say. Yeah. Maybe I need to do some research about that.
The next one is, do you think your God fears you getting electrocuted or you losing?
No, mostly because if he's afraid of these things the way I'm afraid of these things, what's the difference between him and me? It's also contingent on the fact that, unlike me, he supposedly has a fuller picture. Even down to losing me, there's no fear. He shouldn't. He is not afraid.
Chidera, do you think God fears you dying in an accident in that way?
I feel like that's where my fear is gotten from. The fact that my God doesn't care.
Stella, do you think God fears the news?
I don't think so.
Why?
Because seeing him as a sovereign being, he has basically power and control over everything. So fear is not something that he would have because everything that's going on, like it's like creating something, you're watching it and you're seeing it unfold. It's not fear per se, maybe disappointment, but I wouldn't say fear.
In my head, I would say that one of the things that comforts me the most is knowing that the people that I lost have been taken care of by him. Thinking of him, I don't think that that's something he fears. I don't know if it's like there's a protest angle to this, but it's actually something it's not the
loss of it, but the celebration of your like homecoming of some sort, right? So he's not afraid of the loss. He's not even afraid of my grief because he's big enough to handle it. He stands outside of these things. So he knows it, but he's not afraid of it because he's big enough to handle it.
One major fear I always have is not like not succeeding. I don't know. I don't think I'll be. I don't think I'll be able to. I don't think I'll be able to stand it because I feel like given. Um, I've been given all I need. My parents have done their best. Um, I watch my parents grow and then they've been able to do meaningful things with their lives. And there is this standard they've already set for us. Like I can't just go below that standard.
Do you think God is afraid of feeling like
But no, I know it's not Africa.
he's not afraid?
Yes.
Why is he not afraid of you feeling like
Because he knows the beginning from the end.
does he's not being afraid of you failing make you feel any differently about the possibility of failing?
Well, the thing is, God has a plan for our lives. And we as human beings, we have our own plans. You get. So now it may be that my own plan may not be his plan. Right? My own definition of success may be accumulating wealth. God's definition of success may be bringing people to his kingdom. So even if I don't accumulate that wealth, as long as I fulfill his own plan, purpose for my life, I feel like that is still success. That's still success, yeah.
So do you think God fears bullying in general? Like is this something that he's like, oh damn, I don't want this shit to be happening to people? And do you think in particular to you, do you think he fears you getting bullied?
Yeah, I think it does.
You think he does? How come? Or why?
Well, he might not always be there whenever we call on him or we need him, like, but all the same, I feel like sometimes it just needs to happen maybe for like the next thing that's coming up.
Do you think your God, this divine in you, that is part of you, do you think it fears poverty as well?
No, I don't think it does. I think the poverty really just comes from my
Yeah, no, that's it.
self. Yeah. The real higher
It's not you, it's the poverty.
That's just that one doesn't bother. Yeah.
You get it. Yeah.
What's the worst thing that can happen to your God? Both of you, but I can also think about.
When Jeremy comes to life.
Bravo.
I said when Jeremy comes to
I would say death of hope. People stop believing.
Hope or faith?
Okay, then I guess faith is sort of like religious hope in a way, but like I don't feel like you necessarily need to be super religious to be connected to God. That makes sense. So I think more just like a death of belief and like a death of whether a death of faith, death of hope, the death of believing in goodness in the world.
What's the hope in?
I'd say hope in humanity.
Nicola, how about you? What's the worst that can happen to God?
Honestly, nothing.
Okay.
I just believe God is the all-knowing. Like I said, it's more like a programmer. He has programmed us the way He wants us to be. So if you start thinking otherwise, even if you lose that hope, I just believe you are programmed to lose the hope. You understand?
Yeah.
So even if at some point you were not religious, then all of a sudden you became religious, you programmed to that. And if you were never religious throughout your life, I believe before creation and all, He already knows who's going to hell and who's not.
If you're listening to this and you'd love to share your own answers or thoughts on the questions, please, I'd love to hear from you. Write or record a VN and send to hello@studiostyles.org. I may do an episode of just listeners' thoughts, questions, feedback. Who knows? I don't know. It depends on whatever people send to me at the end of the day.